The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Whoops, forgot to bring us in. Future Ryan forgot to do that. Welcome everyone to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. For our Saturday show, we're back on Saturdays. We're back.
We're back
On Saturday mornings. For now, just because our schedules allowed a Saturday show to go on. But my name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the co-hosts. To my right is a man who is riding high from Tuesday, although it just could be the cough, the cold medicine that he's taking. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
Doing all right. I'm pretty much recovered from that cold. It's now we're in the. I was able to. I'm still mystified by the healing powers of the crazy combo I was taking to get through the Extra Life stream. But now, a week removed, I've kind of taken my foot off the gas. We're in that where it's just hanging on stubbornly, but it's not. Yeah. I never had a bad cough or anything. So, hey, if I have to get colds, I'll take one like the one I just had.
Yes, the healing power of zinc, vitamin C, and ramen. Always a good combination.
Yeah. That spicy ramen did help. That was hot. It was hot, but it was good. But I have to admit, when you ordered that Five Guys burger, I kind of looked over there and I was like, I should have done it.
No, but the ramen, when I'm sick, when I'm not feeling funky fresh, that's one of my go-tos. One of my go-tos is soup with a nice broth, green tea, vitamin C, extra vitamin C. Just try to get everything out of there.
Yeah.
ASAP, because I hate being sick. And it's true what they say about men and colds. Our immune systems are, I'll say weaker than women's, but there's certainly something different about the male immune system that's different from the female immune system. We can push through, but it still kills us. try to do stuff. We've done shows before where we both had the flu. So in January, when we had our January shows, I was hanging on by a thread because I needed sleep.
Yeah, it was bad. That the beginning of the year last year, either you got sick first and then I got sick, or it was reverse order. I can't remember, but we were sick back to back.
Yeah. No, I remember it was that Tuesday you had the flu.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later, I got the flu. I started to get the flu. And then Thursday I felt like garbage. Friday felt fine. Then I wake up Saturday morning, I'm like, I gotta do the show.
Yeah.
I'm dying, but I gotta do the show. But I pushed through.
Yep, playing hurt,
and after that, I fell asleep. I went to sleep. But
yeah. I remember I was sick during the, and I was like, I'm gonna watch the Saturday game, and I saw part of it, but I just fell right asleep.
Yeah.
Which is a familiar theme, as we'll get into shortly.
Yes. But before we do that, let's talk about our social media channels, which are right here. Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, the Scarcely Used, TikTok @NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, you can subscribe on any podcast platform: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora. Give us a listen there. Also, get notified for when we do live shows on Twitter and on I still refuse to call it X, and on YouTube. Even though Elon's going to be in the administration, I still refuse to call it X. Still calling it Twitter.
Oh man!
Rate and review if you're on the podcast side. Rate and review. 5-star rating would be helpful. Leave a review on a platform if you can, on your preferred platform. If you can review on Spotify. If you're a subscriber on Spotify, leave us a comment. You can leave us comments on every episode now, going all the way back to episode 1 from August 2020. This is the genesis of this. The genesis of the show was actually sorry, officially it was April 2019, but the real reboot was August 2020. So leave us a comment, leave us a rate and review. And we are a live show every Tuesday at 8:05, and today, Saturday at 10, well, a little after 10 o'clock Eastern. But we want to hear from you while we're doing the show. We want your comments, and I know the magical sound. We got a comment in already from Julie from Michigan saying, "Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning to you, Julie.
Good morning.
I know it's a big time with the, it's a big game this week with the Texans and with the Texans this week. It's going to be an intriguing matchup. But yeah, let's remind the people out there to leave us a comment during the show and during the replays of the show, whether on YouTube or on Rumble. Or
it's chime time.
Yeah, say it again.
It's chime time.
Yeah. Yeah, so do us a favor, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, share, talk to it. But the best way to communicate about the show is through word of mouth. Tell people about the show, tell a friend, say, hey, I need a sports podcast to listen to. Doesn't really give me a whole lot of nonsense, a little nonsense, a little bit of humor, but also breaks down some stats, just have some intriguing talk. Tell them about no credentials required.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
We'll be very happy that you did.
But also tell them that one of the hosts regularly confused Sam Weish with Frank Wycheck. They might find that entertaining.
Another comment coming in from Kevin Wilson, Philly Up Fantasy Sports, fellow Seahawks fan like Dusty. He says, "Good morning, fellas. Good morning to you, Mr. Wilson. We appreciate you stopping by." But in the meantime, we're going to get started on the usual new Saturday morning tradition inspired by one Mr. Kevin Wilson. That's Hot Food Takes. And there's the burger.
There's that burger. Your Five Guys burger looked better than that.
Yes, it did. It was tasty too.
Yeah.
Should have gotten caramelized onions, but I'm actually glad I didn't.
Okay.
Because I probably would have drove you out of the room with farts. Hot Food Takes. This is going to take, and this is a different version of Hot Food Takes. This is going to be beverage related. Mm-hmm. So Dustin and I have been spitting back and forth about ideas for Hot Food Takes, what we should do. And he came up with one that wasn't food related, but was more beverage related. And we're going to talk about Coke versus Pepsi. Dustin, why don't you go ahead and lead off? Which of these two beverages, these mass-produced beverages that are possibly terrible for us, but I don't care. We're going to enjoy them anyway. Which one of these two are you going to make your case for?
Well, I will tell you. So, as with everything, I have stipulations. I have, and I will say that for me, I am firmly on Team Coke. Coke is the nostalgic one for me. Coke is the OG. You would think because Pepsi really made an advertising push in the 80s and 90s that I was like a Pepsi guy. I was a Michael Jackson fan back in 3rd grade. He was doing that Pepsi commercial where he got his hair burned and everything.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was bad. I watched it.
Just like Michael Jackson. He's bad.
Yeah, I watched it. Oh, man. I watched it brilliantly recreated on the Jacksons, An American Dream. Go back and watch that movie. I watched it in 2 parts on VH1 multiple times back in the day. I was quite the Michael Jackson fan until the summer of 1994. Was it because of the allegations that the poster came down? No, it was because I heard Pearl Jam's 10 and Nirvana's Nevermind for the first time. And that completely changed my musical trajectory and my musical life. But anyway, before I've already gone off the rails. I am Team Coke. Coke is the original one for me. Coke is the one that I remember. I remember going to Pizza Hut in the 90s. And they had those red glasses that were Cokes, and you'd go there after Little League games or whatever. But to me, it just symbolizes, and it tastes, most importantly, I'm getting away from what I said. Regular Coke, to me, tastes better than Pepsi. However, I will submit, here's where the caveat comes in. If you force me to choose between Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi all day. Diet Coke is horrific. I know my Uncle Al is a big Coke Zero fan. I haven't had enough of that to make a judgment. When I drink Coke, I go for the OG Coke or wild cherry Coke if I can get it. Cherry Coke, rather. There's only a few places you can get that. But to me, Pepsi's got like this. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I mean, obviously they had to make it taste different than Coke in its own way, right? But Pepsi's got like this taste that doesn't always sit well with me. And it just makes me want a Coke. And also, for all the people that say there's something about McDonald's Coke that tastes different, there is. They have an exclusivity deal with Coke.
Mhm.
They have their own proprietary blend of Coke. I've never had Mexican Coke that uses real sugar. I've been told you got to get down on that. So I'll have to. I've cut soda largely, but I'll have to check that out. But I am Team Coke. And we got Kevin saying add lime and Coke brings on the power. I agree with you, Kevin, there. Coke tastes citrus very well. Lemon as well, you could do it with. And also, for a kid growing up that didn't like root beer, Coke float was my option. I loved a good Coke float. But with that, I cede the floor to you. Which is it?
In the words of our friend Drew Willingham, for the sake of debate. Although not necessarily for the sake of debate. All right. I'm going to be booed out the building, but I don't care because you can boo me all you want. I've seen what you people like. Pepsi. Team Pepsi. I'm Team Pepsi.
Okay.
Some of it, I mean, yes, as a kid, Michael Jackson was the big thing. Thriller. Thriller is still, I found this out on Normal World the other day. By the way, Normal World, it's an awesome podcast. If you like to laugh, go listen to that. Found out that Thriller is still the highest selling album of all time.
Wow.
Over 120 million copies have been sold.
That's amazing.
From its release in 1983 to now. Like Thriller. And Thriller is the Halloween song. It's like, I know it's not about Halloween, but it is the Halloween song. That's when you play it the most.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've actually I think I've been to I can't remember whose wedding I went to where the DJ played Thriller. We're all doing the zombie dance.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
That zombie dance is a thing. And do you remember, Ryan? We're aging ourselves, but do you remember how big of a deal that Thriller video was?
Oh, it's huge. It was groundbreaking. It was groundbreaking because it was like that was the first really real theatrical music video there was. It was directed by John Landis.
Yep.
I think Steven Spielberg was involved in it somehow, if I remember correctly.
I think you might be right about that.
And Vincent Price was the voiceover, and it just seemed like a mini movie.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like an event. Like people watched that premiere. Yeah, it was massive. And
I was one of those kids who watched that premiere.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm that old to remember. I'm that old to remember that video when that video premiered. Yeah. But yeah, I've always been kind of a Michael Jackson guy myself. Even through the allegations, which they're still kind of. We know, but we don't know. He's dead now. I'm sorry, probably unalive. Sorry, he's now unalive. So, we don't want to get tossed off YouTube. But anyway, back to the conversation. Yeah, I mean, the Pepsi got me with when I was a kid with the Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson drinks Pepsi. You should drink Pepsi too. Of course, we didn't know back then about the psychology behind advertising and marketing. But yeah, for me, Pepsi is the better drink in my opinion, my humblest of opinion. And I'll tell you why. Because Coke seems to lose its carbonation faster than Pepsi does. That's a big reason for me. That's a big thing for me. Like when I want to get, I like you, Dustin. I don't drink soda as much anymore. I'll have it every odd once in a while. Maybe I'll have a couple slices of pizza at the local pizza shop. One shop will have Coke Zero. The other one will have Pepsi Zero. I prefer Pepsi Zero sugar because the carbonation is better and it lasts longer. for me. I mean,
Mhm.
we could talk about taste all day, but I guess I will admit the marketing has gotten me as well, because remember when I was a teenage boy, that Cindy Crawford ad.
Oh,
Diet
yeah.
Pepsi.
Yeah. Yeah, the Cindy Crawford ad will do it, and
Mhm.
also honorable mention to Ray Charles, big one for
Yes!
Pepsi back in the
Diet
day.
Pepsi,
Because
yes!
I will concede, even though I'm firmly Team Coke and I have a lot of childhood memories tied up with Coke, and me and my dad used to stop at Stewart's. He'd get an Arizona iced tea, I'd get a Coke. He'd drive me back to mom's. We're listening to the Yankee game. Some of that is
Mhm.
in there, you know,
Yep.
obviously, but superior jingles. Pepsi really came with the heat in the
Yep.
80s, late 80s, early 90s, because they had Ray
Mhm.
Charles with "You Got the Right One, Baby," and then they got Shaq in there. They got Shaq
Yes,
in
they
there
did.
doing that young magic Shaq,
Mhm.
marketing Pepsi. So there was a lot. Pepsi was coming with the heat.
I'll have to find that commercial now. I want to watch that commercial.
Yeah.
The Ray Charles one, not the Cindy Crawford one, but if you know, you know.
Yep.
If you're in our age group, you know that commercial. It's an iconic commercial from the 1990s. I think it debuted at the Super Bowl 27. I want to say.
Oh,
You know
wow.
what?
Okay.
Real time research.
Yeah,
Cindy
real
Crawford.
time research. And while you're doing that, my friend,
And
we have a
I will say this too. Cindy Crawford, keeping it tight.
Yep. Yeah. But while you're doing that, we have comments in from Darnell, the playmaker Salins, in the chat
Yes.
saying, "Good morning, no cred bros. Good morning to you, Darnell. Recent birthday, so happy
Yeah. Happy
birthday to
birthday,
you."
playmaker.
And he
Yeah.
says, "MJ, the king of pop, my favorite artist." I'm telling you, Darnell, I was right there with you as a kid, and it has stayed on. MJ's music stands the test of time. But for you, my friend, which is your favorite album? Is it Thriller? Is it Off the Wall? Is it Bad? Is it Dangerous? Let us know in the comments, because for me, that's a tough pick, because MJ was really coming with the heat, and it's fitting that we acknowledge Quincy Jones, one of the geniuses,
Yes.
true geniuses behind Thriller,
Hmm.
passed away earlier this week. So
He did.
so R.I.P. to Mr. Jones. But yeah, Playmaker, let us know in the comments what's your favorite MJ album, because
Yeah.
I could chat
And,
MJ with you.
and
It's
not and,
easier than talking Seahawks Rams with you, because that was brutal. That was brutal.
yeah, and it's also open to the rest of the chat. What's your favorite Michael Jackson song or Michael Jackson album? Because
Yeah.
I grew up in the era when it was just Michael Jackson every day, all day, every day, between the videos, the music being on the radio. Back in my old days in New Jersey, yeah, all the tabloids being all about, oh, who is he dating now? Is he dating Madonna? Why does he have a monkey named Bubbles?
Yeah.
Why does it? What's up with Neverland? So one other thing, I will say that I will contest this. I will concede this when it comes to Pepsi versus Coke. Nobody orders a Captain and Pepsi.
Yeah,
If you
that
do
is
that,
true.
you're a psycho. If you're
Ryan,
possibly psychotic,
you
if
know
you
what
order
you
a
have to
Captain and
do now.
Pepsi.
You
What's
know
that?
what you have to do. You have to go to a bar. You have to go to a bar. You have to be that guy. I got to
I
be
gotta be
there
that
for the
guy.
reaction.
Kind of a Captain and Pepsi. What? Captain and Pepsi.
Or
Get out.
say rum and Pepsi.
I have a
Yeah.
rum and Pepsi. I'll take a Jack and Pepsi. Yeah. But yeah, most of the comments in the comment section have been Team Coke. Brent, our guy Brent from 1420 Sports Bar podcast joining us. He's saying Team Coke for sure. He also says, "Good morning, guys. Let's get into her." Yeah, let's get into her. Got some
Good
coffee right
morning.
here.
Good
We're
morning.
getting into her. I know it's a couple hours. He's a couple hours behind us, but he's still joining us on his channel. Kevin, as he mentioned, he said, "Yeah, add lime and Coke brings the power." Same thing with Pepsi too. As if you put a little citrus in Pepsi, it definitely does make a difference. Julie saying Coke is zero is top notch.
All right, she's up there with Uncle Al then.
Yep, for sure. Kevin also says Coke is always better when you get at McDonald's. You know what's underrated? Underrated McDonald's drink. Their Sprite. Their Sprite is so good.
Okay, that makes sense, because
Mhm.
well, wait, is
Sprite is a Coke product.
Coke product? Pepsi's
Mhm.
7 Up then? Or
No,
Pepsi now is what is
sorry.
it? Starry.
It
Yeah.
used to be Sierra Mist. It used to be Sliced.
Yep.
Now it's Starry. They
I
keep
was trying to think.
rebranding it
So
because
who had 7-Up back in the day then? I'm
no,
trying.
I think 7-Up is independently owned.
Oh, okay.
Or they like their conglomeration with Dr. Pepper and RC Cola. RC Cola. RC Cola is underrated too. They get great. You get great burps from RC Cola.
Oh, yeah. We have to rate it on the burp
You
scale.
rate on burps. Playmaker saying his favorite Michael Jackson album is the Invincible album.
Oh, okay. I don't know that one as well because that's kind of like
it might be one of his last ones.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, because I remember he toured on that. He was going to tour on that.
2001.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that one either. I remember one of his last songs being a duet with Justin Timberlake.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good song too.
Actually, Darnell, is Invincible the one with Scream on it? Is that
No, that's the greatest hits from 1995. That's a double CD, but that song was with Janet was on Greatest Hits 1995.
Yeah, that video is still one. I think it's still like the most expensive music video ever made. Scream. MJ topping the charts in multiple categories here.
Yeah. Well, he probably swung the money for the video himself.
Yeah.
Kevin says, "What are your thoughts on Weird Al and his parodies of Michael Jackson? Love him.
Yeah, love him.
Put Weird Al on the map.
Yeah. I mean, Weird Al. I'm gonna say it. Weird Al. I think he's a genius.
He is.
Coming up with some of that stuff, and because I am a Nirvana super fan, it is funny that I read that Kurt Cobain back in the day, Weird Al had to call Kurt Cobain to get clearance to do the parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit, Smells Like Nirvana, where he famously says, that he basically is making fun of that you can't understand the lyrics the whole time.
Grunge. Yeah.
And so apparently that was the sign after Kurt Cobain. He got the call apparently at Saturday Night Live, if I remember, like right before they were about to go on for Saturday Night Live. And he hung up the phone and he said, "We've made it." And somebody that was with him was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Weird Al just called me. He wants to parody the song. Like, we've made it." There were two signals to Kurt Cobain that the band had made it. Weird Al parodied their song and they got played on Beavis and Butthead. Those were his two barometers where he's like, "We made it now."
Yeah. Any artist, I think every artist has said that. Yeah, that's the reason. When you've made it, when Weird Al parodies one of your songs. And fun fact, Weird Al's going back on tour next year.
Yeah.
I gotta find out if he's coming anywhere near us.
Oh man, Weird Al, no credentials required.
Oh man, that'll be so awesome. Bigger and Weirder is his tour. Let's see if he's coming anywhere near us. Yes, July 17th. He's gonna be at SPAC.
Oh,
yes! We gotta go.
Yeah, that we'll be using SeatGeek to book that one. Oh man.
All right, we gotta move things along. I've been having too much fun with Coke, Pepsi, and Michael Jackson this morning.
Yeah.
Playmaker saying the songs on the album: "Break of Dawn," "You Rock My World," "Speechless," "Butterflies," "Whatever Happens." He also said "You Rock My World" was the #1 track on the Invincible album. And Kevin Wilson saying RC Cola is awesome. Oh, and it says the Escape album is the one with Justin Timberlake. "Love Never Felt So Good" is the song with JT. Yeah, it's a banger. It's a banger. Kevin wants to know if he's coming to Dallas. Look, I'm not your tour guide, okay? I'll look it up.
We'll check it out.
It doesn't look like it right now. He's coming to Austin. Then he's going to be on July 31st. That's a sold-out show. August 1st, he'll be at the Woodlands. And August 2nd, he'll be in Grand Prairie. So I don't know how close that is to Dallas, but
yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, because I've never been to Dallas. So I've been through Dallas. I'm sorry, no, I've been through Houston. I've been through Houston. I've flown a connecting flight from I think it was Belize to Houston to Newark, and then drove back to Albany. So
long day that.
That was a long day, but you know what? Hey, it was good to be home. All right, well, that's been this edition of Hot food takes, beverages, and Michael Jackson talk. All right, let's talk about. Let's dive into NFL Week 10. We'll start off with the review of Bengals-Ravens, the Thursday night game. This was another Thursday night thriller. You know, most of them have been duds this year. Last week's game was all right, although it was a little torturous if you're a Jets fan, but got the win. But this week was Bengals-Ravens, and I was kind of expecting the Ravens to blow them out, but the Bengals, man, they played tough. They played this game. They played this game tough, and they went up 14 early. Ravens clawed all the way back. They took a lead, and then from there it was Joe Burrow, and it was a Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase show on the offense for the Cincinnati Bengals. What would this offense be without Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? I'll give you an answer. It wouldn't be one. Wouldn't be much of one at all. But I'll give credit to where credit's due with the Bengals. They kept Derrick Henry in check, much to my chagrin. Because I have my fantasy team, but he still scored a touchdown, so that's points. The Bengals, it's just I don't know what it is this year with them. But Lamar Jackson, he's just doing Lamar Jackson things. He's right now it's between him and his teammate Derrick Henry for most valuable player in the NFL for 2025 or 2024, excuse me. None of this Patrick Mahomes stuff, don't worry about him. Right now it's all about the Ravens on the offense, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And here's a crazy stat I posted in our Discord. Discord, if you want to join our Discord, it's in the description.
Yeah,
put a link below. It'll send me a request. I'll let you in if you're sane. But this is crazy stat from OptaStats on Twitter. It said there have been 2 instances in NFL history where a quarterback has had 30 plus completions, 300 plus passing yards, 400 plus over 4 touchdowns. Joe Burrow had 4 touchdowns, multiple 40 plus yard TD passes, no more than one interception, and yet still lost. Those 2 instances were Joe Burrow in week 5 against the Ravens and Joe Burrow in week 10 against the Ravens. It's crazy.
Yeah. That I couldn't believe that when you put that into the Discord. I think I said that's crazy.
Yeah, you did. You did. That's nuts. No, your words were that's nuts.
Oh. Oh man.
But yeah, what were your impressions of this game? This was a crazy game. Unfortunately I had to miss. I had a commitment, but it was well worth the commitment was well worth making the time. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
But what were your impressions of this game?
All right. So here's the thing. The first couple weeks of the season, I was watching football, Thursday night football. I'm like, I have Prime. I gotta do this for the show so that we have things to talk about on Saturday. I can actually recap the games. And those first games, as you know, were so bad that I was just like, I got to stop making this a priority because but now we have been on a stretch where the Thursday night football games are amazing. Yeah, so cut to me Thursday. I'm like, I don't have the plans that I sometimes have on Thursdays. I was like, I'm sitting down. I'm watching this. I got my black notebook. I was ready to take notes. Here it is, folks. Here's how the sausage is made for me. I take notes handwritten, and then I type them into the show rundown later. But I sit down. I'm like, I'm going to watch this game. Bengals go down and score 7-0. Ravens respond 7-0. I'm like, this one's going to be good. This one's going to be real good. And then the defenses kind of shut people down until the Bengals went up 14-7. I'm like, all right. Hasn't really lived up to the billing. And I made the mistake. I'm like, I just need to stretch out a little bit. I laid down on the couch. I laid down during halftime and I never woke up. So I missed the entire second half, which was unbelievable. I'm like,
was it playing in your dreams though? Like, something's happening when you fall asleep watching something, and it'll be incorporated in your dreams when you're hearing it.
No, that did not
That's just me then.
happen
Okay.
this time. But I was tired. I must have just been tired. It's been a week at work. I'm trying to cover. I'm trying to do a lot. There's family things, and I was just tired, and I fell asleep. So I missed the entire second half where it was unbelievable. I mean, the back and forth. And Darnell again says Lamar Jackson is different. He is.
Yeah,
He
indeed.
is.
Indeed.
And he is the reason that the Ravens were able to pull that out. And the Ravens are going to be a tough out because they have Derrick Henry that can pick up the slack now if teams are shutting down Lamar. But there was one play that stuck out to me that really underscored Lamar's his difference-making ability. So I can't remember if the touchdown pass, who the touchdown pass was to, but the Ravens tried to take a deep shot to Rashad Bateman early in the game, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out because the Bengals DB was able to recover nicely and make a play on the ball. But then when the Ravens scored that touchdown that I actually saw, Lamar did this thing where he tucked the ball and ran a little bit behind the line of scrimmage, making it look like he was going to run. And the whole Bengals defense shifted forward. And then Lamar just tosses a pass to a receiver that's wide open because of that. The defense shifted because Lamar made it look like he was going to move. And then he just threw it. That's how scared teams are of Lamar Jackson. And they should be. But I also have a proposition, Ryan. I have a proposition for you.
Okay.
And I know.
Playmaker confirms it was Bateman.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Playmaker.
Thank you very much. And so, Ryan, I say, and this is kind of going back in a little time machine, but if you haven't noticed, the Thursday Night Football games, it's starting to pick up again. So
Yes.
whether it be you or I that comes to power, I mean, I know you're focusing on baseball. So maybe I should focus on unseating Roger Goodell. And when I successfully do that, we are taking Thursday Night Football, and Thursday Night Football does not start in the NFL season until the last week of October / first week of November. We will call it a November to remember. And if you remember, the Thursday Night Football when it was exclusive to NFL Network, it did not run the entire season. And I think we have to bring that back because
you're absolutely right.
Those first Thursday Night Football games are brutal. They have the effect of preseason games. Nobody's in shape yet. People get hurt. They're tough to watch. But now the season, teams are finally in shape now. Players are ready. Yeah. And we've been doing Thursday Night Football enough years to where players can prepare better for it. And there's some times where the rest is built in because once you play on Thursday Night Football, that you then have 10 days to prepare for a game sometimes the next week. But push it to late in the season because these games have been good. These games have been good for the last 3 weeks or so.
You are absolutely right. And when you said we got to move the schedule to week 10 and for Thursday Night Football, you're absolutely right because the wheels got turned in my head. And you think of the Thursday night games from weeks 1 through 9. I mean, including the Thursday night, the kickoff on Thursday nights, the Super Bowl champ always plays.
Yeah,
We'll keep that in.
Yeah,
we'll keep that in. We'll keep First Friday, but not play in Sao Paulo because that was a clown show. We'll play it somewhere else, somewhere with less crime, and players can actually go out and about and enjoy their time in the city. They can't be locked up in their rooms. Anyway, I'm on a tangent. But yeah, you look at this. You look at the Thursday night games, and there were a couple of exceptions. The Buccaneers Falcons was pretty good.
Was good. Yeah.
That was one I missed out on. But yeah, most of them have been duds so far. Most of them have been duds, and they're featured teams that a lot of them feature teams. I know the NFL has to have it where all 32 teams have to play a Thursday night game, which is stupid.
Yeah.
Just played 2 Thursday night games in the first 9 weeks, which is dumb. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I remember back in the day, they used to have the special Thursday night or they had a Friday night game.
Yeah.
One time, I think in the 80s. I think it was between your Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the first years when we were up here in New York from New Jersey. We moved from New Jersey. But yeah, let's let's make it Dustin for commissioner of the NFL whenever the hell Roger Goodell's contract expires. Let's keep the Thursday night schedule from week 10 through which will probably be week 19 or 20 when we go to 18 games, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. 18 games in the NFL is going to happen. It's going to be an inevitability. This league is too popular. But that's one of the rules you should install too. If they go to 18 games, all stadiums have to be natural grass.
Okay.
Or hybrid.
Hybrid. Okay, yeah, I'm with it. Yep. We'll do that.
Yep, because it's possible to have, you could grow grass in the places where you need to grow grass that'll last the entire year. It's regional. It's a regional thing. That's how things are done. But yeah, this game I don't regret missing it, but looking at the result, I'll have to look at the highlights and see what happened. It looked like a really great game. And we're gonna go to a break, but before we do that, we're gonna acknowledge a new cred head in the chat. Kevin, I think I know who this is. Maybe I know, maybe I don't know, but I think I know who this is. He says sports ball. He says I'm already there, big fan. And yes, he says yes, but how bad is that Ravens defense? How does Burrow stack up against the Steelers D? We'll see. About that Ravens defense, I look to see where they are in passing. They're dead last in passing in the NFL this year. But two of these games were against Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Where he had 300 plus yards in those games. They won both games. Which is the crazy part.
Yeah, that's insane. I still can't get over that.
Yeah, I can't get over it either. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk the rest of what's on our mind, what we're looking out for in NFL Week 10. So stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. That's right, folks. Invader Coffee is the affiliate sponsor for every Saturday and I guess Friday happy hour too. But Invader Coffee, great coffee. I ordered some of the pumpkin pecan for myself this week. I still have to get your bag to you. I forgot it last week when I came down to the to support the live stream marathon. But your bag is going to come eventually. I'll probably drop it off. I'll drop it off tomorrow after I come back from church. I'll leave it at your door. But yeah, the pumpkin pecan and tag along has made an appearance. I just heard the door open. But Bitter coffee, 100% air roasted beans, cuts out all the acidity, so it's nice and smooth. You don't have to put all that other junk in your coffee that just adds extra calories and takes the original taste of the coffee away. If you want a great blend, go to invadercoffee.com. Use our link in the description. That's our affiliate link. So we get a little bit of money back for supporting the show. You help support the show. We get a little bit of change back. But get yourself some coffee. Great blends. Their holiday blends are coming soon. Can't wait for Bad Santa again.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait for that. But they also have their original blends, the original Invader Coffee blend. They've got some other blends you might want to check out, depending on what you want to drink. Light roast, medium roast, dark roast. They've got it all. They've also got cold brew coffee, which is awesome. So
I have had the cold brew. It fueled me on the way to Virginia a few weeks back.
Yep. And interestingly enough, I've been doing some research on recipes for beers. I'm gonna make a pumpkin spice latte milk stout, and the recipe calls for cold brew. And get some Invader Coffee cold brew to make that. So that's down the road. That's for future Ryan to figure out. But
I am ready to try that.
Yeah. So if you want to get yourself some great coffee, again, you use the link in the description and use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. You get 15% off your order. You're gonna spend a little bit more on shipping, but guess what? It comes to your door in a matter of days, not in a matter of weeks. And the coffee is stale and it's bad tasting. It's fresh. I prefer to get mine whole bean because I like to grind the beans myself, makes a fresher batch. But if you want to get yours ground, hey, good for you. You do you, boo boo. It's a free country. Again. So go to our link in the description. Use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. You get 15% off your order and enjoy arguably the best coffee you'll ever have.
Yeah. I mean, I've been drinking it for a while now. I started drinking it even before I joined the ranks of this show as co-host.
Mm-hmm.
And I've enjoyed it, and I've got the pumpkin pecan that Ryan mentioned. I say pecan, but people have corrected me, so I interchange them now. But the flavor is just right on this. And I don't have any cream in here. I don't have any sugar in here because it doesn't need it. And as Ryan already astutely pointed it out, it gets to you fast and you have the promo code. So what's not to like? Go out and try Invader Coffee today. They've got a blend for you.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. All right, let's talk about week 10 of the NFL. And here are your bye weeks this week in the NFL: Cleveland, Green Bay, Las Vegas, Seattle. So there'll be a stress-free week for Dustin and Kevin and Daniel Smooth. I'm pretty sure he'll be watching on the replay. Playmaker, not do you, boo boo.
Oh, you got called out for using that.
Whatever, it's my show. Anyway, bye weeks: Cleveland, Green Bay, Las Vegas, Seattle. It's a stress-free week for you guys, for fans of those teams. But we're going to talk about, first off, the most intriguing matchup in week 10 of the NFL, respectively, that we think is going to be. And Dustin, I'll have you lead off here. To you, what's the most intriguing matchup in week 10?
Well, I picked this game. This game, I had my eyes on it. And for me, it's the Commanders and Steelers. This one kind of jumped off the page to me when I was looking at the matchups here. I think your pick was a great pick, which you'll get to shortly. But Commanders Steelers just has a lot of little subplots for me that I'll be keeping my eye on. One, the Steelers just acquired Mike Williams. Now, I know his time in New York did not go according to his plan, I'm sure, or theirs. But if you go back and look at his time as a Charger, when healthy, he provided a deep threat and he could get down the field. And I think that complements Russell Wilson. One of the strong points of Russell Wilson's game is that he can still throw the deep ball. Even the most ardent Russell Wilson fan or I think would argue that the rest of his game has kind of dropped off a little bit, especially from where we saw him as Kevin Staniel and I, as Seahawks fans, were very familiar with Russell's level of play. And he is not the player that he was in 2014 or so. That's a long time ago now. But he can still throw an accurate deep ball. And I think when you pair Mike Williams with George Pickens, now Mike is going to take a little time to get acclimated to the offense, I'm sure, but he's got enough speed where they can just say, yeah, run a streak route, and or a deep route rather, just straight down the field, a jet, whatever they call it in their offense. Run that and we'll get the ball to you. And I want to see how Jaden Daniels will be able to do against a Steelers defense that is very good. Make no mistake, while the offense has been better than I think anybody expected the Steelers to be offensively, the defense is carrying that team. The defense is why the Steelers are winning the games. And I want to see how Jaden Daniels performs against this defense. And I also want to see if the Commanders' defense can continue to improve and figure out a way to shut down, elements of this Steelers game here. And lastly, who's going to run the ball for the Commanders? Because as I understand it, Brian Wilson Jr. is probably going to be out for this one. So will the three-headed monster of Austin Eckler and the other two running backs that they've been using there, their names escape me at the moment, but will they be able to form a competent enough running game? And also Terry McLaurin, will he be able to get down the field as he's been able to do in games past for the Commanders? There's a lot to like about this one.
Yeah, Brian Robinson Jr. is out with a hamstring injury. Marshawn Lattimore, who they just acquired from the New Orleans Saints to shore up that secondary. And I got to watch Drew's rerun of the Commanders Gridiron Report. I'm pretty sure he was happy about that move because he talked about it on our show.
Did.
A week and a half ago. He talked about how the secondary needs some help, and they got it. They got it, and players. From what I saw a headline, I didn't read the entire article, but I saw a headline from Adam Schefter this week saying that players want to go to Washington now.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, Marshawn Lattimore, he's out with a hamstring injury. The depth chart goes like this for the Commanders. It's gonna be Austin Eckler and Jeremy McNichols who will be carrying the ball.
That's right. Jeremy McNichols is who I couldn't think of.
Yep. So it's those two guys who will be in the backfield. It's gonna be an interesting game, and I've got my eye on a certain player in my offensive player on offense to watch when we come to that segment. But for me, the most intriguing matchup in my mind is Denver at Kansas City. And this is another one of those dumb weeks where we have full of 1 o'clock games and like 3 games after 4 o'clock. And when you come to Power, Dustin, that's going to change. That's going to change. I'll be your advisor for scheduling and how things are going to go, because we need to stagger some of these starts for the NFL to make sure we get consistent starts all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But the game I have my eye on is Denver at Kansas City. Yes, the Chiefs are undefeated, but they aren't like the 2007 Cobra Kai New England Patriots, who are just absolutely outscoring everyone every single game. It's not like that. They're winning close games. They're actually winning games they should lose.
Yes.
Like on Monday, they should have lost. They could have lost that game. Unfortunately, they didn't. But fortunately for them, I'm saying what half of them, like most of America is saying.
Yeah.
Fortunately for them.
Yes.
Fortunately for them. They did. Even though there were some missed calls, especially on the last touchdown they had, the false start that didn't get called. Anyway, they're not as good as I don't think they're as good as people think they are. They struggle. Their defense is carrying them. It's interestingly enough. You talked about the Steelers, how the defense is carrying them. The defense is carrying the Chiefs. All right? You haven't been able to say that since like the Marty Schottenheimer years, when they had Derek Thomas and Neil Smith in their in that front four of the defense. But I'm curious to see how they're playing at home. They're at Arrowhead. They're playing a Denver team that actually beat the brakes off them last year. Don't forget that. Mm-hmm. Don't forget that at one point last year, Kansas City was in jeopardy of losing that division.
And Ryan, who was the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos at that time?
Let me think. It wasn't Jarrett Stidham.
It was not.
No, it was Russell Wilson. Yes, it was.
Yes,
Russell Wilson.
And I believe
also was cooking that day.
Yeah, and then I believe
so was their defense.
Either a week or 2 weeks later, he was benched in favor of Jarrett Stidham.
Yep, because they were going to yeet him into the sun or into Pittsburgh. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how the Chiefs will fare against a team like the Broncos, who is better than most people thought. I thought the Denver was going to have this is going to be a rebuild year for Denver because their offense was looking kind of but Bo Nix has been playing better. Has been playing better than anybody thought.
Yeah,
with Sean Payton as his quarterback, as his head coach, and their defense is playing great, with the exception of last week when they played Baltimore. And Baltimore is just a special specimen.
Yeah,
they're just a special team this year. And I said last week I'm curious to see if this performance will continue through the end of the season into the postseason. But I'm curious to see how the Broncos team that's better than people thought, and they're still licking their wounds from their being in Baltimore, how they'll come out and perform against the Chiefs on Sunday. It's a 1 o'clock game, which is stupid. And as Playmaker pointed out, Denver, Kansas City is usually at 4:25. It's not this time. It's at 1 o'clock, which is silly.
Yeah.
Silly. All right, we're going to move on to Desperation City / Bounce Back City. I got to change that graphic to show Bounce Back City as well. But for me, the Bounce Back City, I wouldn't say they're desperate, but this is a definite bounce back game. It's a big bounce back game for the Houston Texans. And this game was actually originally supposed to be 1 o'clock, but the Jets and Colts are both mid, as the kids would say. So the NFL NBC flexed that game out, and the NFL said, okay, we'll put this game on instead. This is a better matchup, to be honest. between the Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans team that got beat by my Jets last week. And the score didn't indicate how badly they were beaten. This was they got absolutely plowed into the ground by the Jets, and they're coming off a bad loss. They're playing a Lions team that's been in an absolute roll.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a surprising stat that with the Lions defense. The Lions defense is actually not that good against the pass, and they're playing C.J. Stroud. I don't know if Nico Collins has been cleared to practice yet, but his primary target is going to be Tank Dell. They're going to rely on their running game, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Texans' run game, who did pretty well against the Jets last week, not going to lie, how that offensive line is going to do against the Lions' run defense, and on the flip side, how the Lions are going to continue to do their thing on offense. They've been unstoppable on offense over the last 3 weeks. So that's my bounce back city / desperation city game of the week. Dustin, what about you?
Well, for me, again, I'm kind of picking this from the perspective of one team. My desperation / bounce back city is the Vikings versus the Jaguars. And it's because I want to see how the Vikings can do. The Vikings, after that wonderful start that they've had, they've kind of slid back down to earth just the littlest bit over the last couple of games, and they're in need of a get right game, especially with the way the Lions are playing. If the Vikings have any prayer of keeping pace with them in that division, they have to win this game, and they have to win it convincingly, I think, for their confidence, to prove that, hey, we're more that team that started out 5-0 than the team that's lost the last couple of games. So I think the Vikings need this one in a big way. Their defense has been great under Brian Flores so far this year, and I think they have the opportunity to shut the Jaguars down convincingly, and they could do it. But the Jaguars, as you pointed out on last week's show, they played the Eagles better than anyone thought they would. So they're still one of these confounding teams, because you look at them and you say they shouldn't be this bad. They have the talent that indicates that they should be a better team than this. And sometimes that team can still show up, but mostly it's been a lost season in Jacksonville so far. And I think the Vikings, they have to be careful, and they better not make this into a trap game, because the Jags could step up and beat them. The Vikings need this win to keep pace with the Lions and have any shot at the NFC North. So that's my pick for this week.
And I guess it's Doug Peterson says that it's trending towards Mac Jones starting for the Jaguars this week instead of Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence has suffered an injury last week against Philadelphia. Right. So it's leaning towards Mac Jones starting. It's Mac Jones season again. Oh, great.
Oh, man. That makes it, if the Vikings don't win this game with Mac Jones behind center, then I don't know.
Yeah, that's trending down, because I remember we had that stat a couple weeks ago. The last team to start 5-0 and not make the playoffs was
the
Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, but their defense was so bad that year. Remember, we were sitting there. They're like, how do they have 10 wins? Their point differential is terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was the best 13-4, the worst 13-4 team ever. Yeah. All right, let's move over to the self-hatred game of the week.
Ready? And pull trash.
We had a comment in the comments section from Mr. Wilson. He says, What do we think of the overseas game? Worth watching early that morning? I'll lead off with this, and I'll say, no. No, it's not. To our audience in Germany, to all 3 listeners in Germany, I've seen the stats. There. We do have listeners in Germany.
All right.
We're sorry you didn't get a better game.
Yeah.
Than 2 sorry teams. The only thing that the Berlin audience is going to get a kick out of is the Giants' rush defense. Giants lead the league. I don't know how a 2-7 team leads the league in sacks. They have 35 sacks this year already. But we're at week 10. If they're 2-7. That's the only thing that they really have to look forward to. So forgive my my pronunciation. Al, if you're watching, let me know if I pronounce this correctly. Es tut uns leid, Berlin. That means we're sorry, Berlin.
And I can tell you that 9 of those sacks came against Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks.
And 8 of them came
that's
against the
how
Browns. Yeah.
that's how they
Yeah.
that's how they lead the league.
What about you, Dustin? What's your self-hatred game this week?
Well, I was gonna pick this one, and I assure you, folks, this was unplanned. But for the second time on this show, shout out to D Willie, because for the sake of debate, I am picking the Chargers and Titans. Chargers and Titans because does Mason Rudolph inspire you? No, because he doesn't inspire me either. And the Chargers have at times, I don't know how what's their record, 5-3, something like that.
Hang on, real-time research.
Yeah, they are
5-3. Yeah, you're right. 5-3.
All right, yeah, so they're 5-3, so they're like in the mix, and I don't know how, because when I watch this team play, oh man, it just seems like they're trying to do it with a Jim Harbaugh template of running the ball and aggressive defense. And J.K. Dobbins has had a great season. Don't get me wrong. But the Chargers brand of football does not exactly get me fired up to watch the game, so when you pair that with a Titans run defense, which has been better than we thought they would be, but not as good as they have been at stretches in recent games, this is just going to be, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun.
It's going to be joyless murder ball. That's what it's going
to be. And Justin Herbert is playing hurt as well still, as far as I understand. So you got that going for you. It's not going to be a fun one to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the comments section before we move on to our last two categories. Kevin M is saying, Russ has looked like a brand new guy. No sign yet of the lousy Denver guy. True. These are facts. I think Sean Payton hurt his between reportedly Russell Wilson calling Seattle plays in the line in the huddle.
I remember
I think
about that.
I think Sean Payton being there hurt him.
Yeah, I would say, and and the thing is too, part of it is Russ diminished as a player. Okay, I said it when that trade went down. Initially, I was very angry, but upon reflection, Pete Carroll looked like a genius when they made that trade, because people were saying that Pete Carroll's system was holding Russell Wilson back, that it was too archaic, but Pete Carroll came out looking on the better end of that one, because look what he did with Geno that year in the same system, and then look how Russ went. But I think Russ, there's a couple things. He was getting a little older as a player. His skills were diminishing because they were starting to diminish in Seattle. You were starting to see it those last 2 seasons. But the coaching combination of Nathaniel Hackett seemingly letting the players run everything and not really having a grip on the team in any way, and also not having his starters play any preseason snaps before the season, pretty boneheaded, if you ask me. But then you follow that up with Sean Payton, an authoritarian coach who's like, it's my system or nothing, and has no competence. That's like the worst combo back to back for any quarterback, I would think.
Yeah. He also says, to be honest, I was really hoping for the Fields era had begun. I was totally wrong about Russ. I figured he was washed up as a has-been. We all did. We all did. We got caught. And also, if you've noticed too, Russell Wilson's been less cringy on social media too.
Yeah.
Playmaker says, don't forget the Steelers got Preston Smith as well. Yep. And Kevin agrees. Yeah, Preston Smith, he's coming back to that 3-4-D that he likes. Your Uncle Al saying the free preview of Red Zone may have factored into that big slate of 1:00 games. It's still stupid. I hate it. Playmaker saying that's because the Giants Panthers are in Germany, so the late window late afternoon window lost the game. Yeah, also those four teams being on a bye week too doesn't really help. Uncle Al giving me praise in my German. He says, close enough on the German. He also says about the I believe it was a bounce back city, desperation city.
It was the self-hatred game, the Giants-Panthers.
Okay.
That's a fair assessment. Just make sure Tracy is in your starting lineup. He is, Kevin. I got him slotted in. I got some players on bye this week.
And Playmaker says he's also watching Sunday NFL Countdown instead of the early morning game. I'll be at church, so that's where I'll be. That's right. Jesus, shoot you all.
And depending on when I wake up and a variety of factors, because I have a car appointment at 1:15 today, whether I can get my lawn mowed after I get back from the car appointment, I may choose 9 o'clock in the morning to do my final mow of the season, or at least what I hope is my final mow of the season.
Yeah. All right, players to watch on offense. Dustin, I'm gonna have you lead off. Who's your player to watch on offense this week?
To me, this was an easy pick this week. Sometimes I struggle and I sit and think, and I'm like, who am I thinking? No thinking this week required. Some people would argue that's my whole brand on this entire show. No thinking required. But Christian McCaffrey, he's coming back. I want to see how he looks. I want to see how he elevates the rest of the San Francisco 49ers offense. I want to see if he gives them a shot of adrenaline, which they need in a wide open, as Playmaker knows. It is a wide open NFC West. I think the Seahawks are kind of fading out of the race after their fast start. But between the Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams, this thing is up for grabs. Am I just trying to do a reverse jinx on my Seahawks? You'll never know. But it's Christian McCaffrey this week. We know how important he is to this 49ers offense, and they're starting to get healthy. They're starting to get a little healthy, even though Debo's out for the rest of the year, and Ricky Pearsall. We'll finally get to see how their first round draft pick does with the added weapon of McCaffrey back there, because he makes a difference.
I think you meant Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, yeah. Brandon? Yeah, I did. I reversed him. Sorry about that.
And I'm looking at the injury report. Christian McCaffrey, he's still listed on ESPN as under injured reserve, but he's been activated to practice. But, however, Kyle Shanahan said that he'll be questionable. McCaffrey will be questionable for Sunday's game. So, which means I got some cleaning up to do in my fantasy lineup because I've got him on IR right now. I gotta figure out somebody to cut. It's probably gonna be that kid from Kansas City that I have on my squad. Can't remember his name for the life of me right now. Oh, Carson Steele. Bye, Carson Steele.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You were good for like a game and a half, and then now you're gone. All right, because Christian McCaffrey's coming back. All right, my player to watch on offense is going to be go ahead. You were saying.
Oh, no, my apologies. I was about to say, because you froze on me there for a second, but you're back. You're back.
I've always been here. I'm back stuff. I've always been here. All right. My player to watch this week, Dustin kind of outlined it in his most intriguing matchup. And my player is Jalen Daniels. Steelers Commanders was also on my radar for most intriguing matchup, but he's going to be playing a stout Steelers defense. Surprisingly, the Steelers defense is 20th in passing yards allowed. But here's the flip side. They're second in takeaways, and they're tied for third in interceptions this year with 10. So that's going to be an intriguing matchup to see how Mike Tomlin will scheme up the defense against a really talented player like Jalen Daniels, and to see how they'll manage not only his arm, but also his legs, because he can move. He's a mobile quarterback. He can get some run yards too. He can get some yards with his feet too, not just with his arm. So I'm kind of curious to see how he'll manage against this Steelers defense, who's pretty good. Not gonna lie. All right, let's move on to our next category: the players to watch on defense.
I can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
That's right. He is important to the defense. And I didn't really have one in this. I didn't really have one in the slate, but I guess I'll go ahead with the Steelers crowd, Preston Smith. as Kevin M mentioned in the comments, Preston Smith, who was traded to the Steelers this week at the trade deadline, along with acquiring Mike Williams. He's back in a 3-4 set, which he's big on, and that's one guy they're going to that's one guy to have if you're going to try to if you're going to try to stop a mobile quarterback like a Jalen Daniels, try to force him to make rookie mistakes, even though he's not playing like a rookie. So that's my player to watch by default, because I had nobody in our rundown in our slate. But Dustin, how about you? Who's your play to watch on defense this week?
Player to watch on defense. Again, I'm sorry, but I'm doing the whole players to watch on defense here, and specifically, and this hinges too if Christian McCarthy plays, or McCaffrey. Geez, I keep doing that. But
DJ Beast, shout out.
Yeah. But I want to see how the Bucs defense can do against this 49ers offense here. I want to see, can they get pressure? Can they stop the run? Can they do enough to keep themselves in this game? Because the poor Bucs, okay, if you watch Baker's face from last Monday night, he knew that as soon as the Chiefs won the coin toss, he knew it was over. But he firmly believed, and I believe too, if they had won the coin toss, they had a shot at winning that game.
Yeah.
It could have gone either way, because Todd Bowles, again, he had things schemed up. Now, the Chiefs offense, has it been where it's been in previous seasons? No. We've watched it. We mentioned it at the beginning of the show. They're winning because of their defense, not their offense this year. But Todd Bowles and the Bucs defense did enough to shut them down. And the 49ers is considered another high-powered offense, and they have one of their biggest weapons returning. And I think he will elevate everybody on the team. I think he will elevate Brock Purdy. He will elevate everybody, because McCaffrey is a dynamic enough player that he can make those changes, and he can catch passes out of the backfield. And I want to see what the Bucs can do to shut him down and keep themselves in the game, because their offensive weapons, Godwin is gone for the season, and Mike Evans probably won't return until after the week 11 bye. So who's it going to be? The running backs are going to have to come up big in this one, and it's going to be the Cade Otton show for Tampa Bay here. So their defense is going to need to show up big and stop the Niners to keep themselves in this game.
Yeah, their pass defense has been atrocious this year, which is unbecoming of a Todd Bowles defense. Kirk Two Chainz Cousins lit them in both their games this year. Yeah, and I mean, Brock Purdy doesn't have all the weapons that he has. Like, Brandon Ayuk is out. George Kittle's questionable. He's forever questionable, but he always plays.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you'll have Christian, if Christian McCaffrey does play, he's listed as questionable currently, but if he plays, that's just one more guy to have in your arsenal in the passing game against a team that, when depending on the opponent, like they had against the Saints a couple weeks ago when they forced a bunch of turnovers, but that was against a rookie quarterback. Yeah. This time you're playing Mr. Irrelevant, the former Mr. Irrelevant, who's starting to get, who's having a great career so far. We'll see what happens if he's going to be in San Francisco for too long, because they got some things to work out with their cap. He's going to be wanting a lot. He's going to be wanting a big pay raise in the offseason, especially if he can get the 49ers back to the Super Bowl. So, but the defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the pass defense especially, is wishy-washy right now. Yeah, they keep getting, they can light things up against teams like the Saints, but they can't do it. They're just vulnerable against the teams like the Falcons and the Chiefs and so on and so forth. So be curious to see what they do on Sunday. All right, we're going to get out of here. But before we do that, just want to remind you about our social media channels. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/NoCardsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, the scarcely used TikTok @NoCardsREQ, and youtube.com/NoCardsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe. We're not just a live show, we're also a podcast. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and Get yourself notified on Twitter and on YouTube. Reminders, get yourself a reminder when we go live or we post videos, pre-recorded videos. On the podcast side, rate and review. 5-star rating would be helpful. A review if you're on a platform where you can review the show, review it. They help the show. On Spotify, if you're a Spotify subscriber, leave a comment. You can leave comments for every episode now. And of course, if you're watching on replay, if you're watching live, thank you for all the comments. They really help the show.
Yeah.
And again, tell a friend about the show. Tell a friend about the show. Even if you can't catch it live, catch it on replay. You can catch it on the podcast side. Engage with the show. Leave a comment. They all help. And Kevin M saying, "Good show, guys. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you." The newest cred head, Kevin M, joining us this morning on the Saturday edition of No Credentials Required. Paymaker says, "Great show, fellas. Now I must bury my face as Cole's Longhorns prepare to destroy my Gators."
Oh.
T's and P's, Playmaker. T's and P's. Thoughts and prayers. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us on the Saturday edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. Oh, one more programming note. We're going to be live a little bit later on Tuesday. We'll be live at 8:05 and not the usual 7:05. And also, coming soon, I'm going to produce a trailer for our Thanksgiving morning show, which will be on Thanksgiving morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Forget about the parade. Santa's going to come eventually. He'll come later. Instead, hang out with us. We'll talk about Thanksgiving foods. We'll talk about the games that are coming up on that day, the slate of games on that day. And we'll talk about other Thanksgiving nonsense. So join us then, 10 a.m. Thursday, November 28th, Thanksgiving morning. Come join us then. We'll do some Thanksgiving shenanigans. But in the meantime, thank you for tuning into the show. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll talk to you again Tuesday, 8:05 Eastern, as we review Week 10 of the NFL. Until then, enjoy the football, and we'll talk to you again on Tuesday.
Good morning, everybody.
There it is.